Welcome back to my Decisive Learning channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most searched gardening topics on the internet, growing tomatoes from seed to harvest. Whether you're working with containers, raised beds, or just a sunny balcony, you are in exactly the right place.
You might be sitting there wondering, do I even have the space for this? Well, the answer is a resounding yes. This step-by-step explainer will give you everything you need to grow strong, incredibly productive tomato plants all season long. It's really all about mastering the method, not the square footage.
So here is our roadmap for today. We'll track your plant's exact life cycle through 5 distinct phases. 1. Seed selection and starting. 2. Transplanting and ideal housing. 3. Pruning, watering, and feeding. 4. Troubleshooting common tomato problems. And finally, number 5. Harvesting your homegrown tomatoes.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Seed Selection and Starting.
Before we actually plant anything, let's talk varieties. Tomatoes essentially come in 2 main growth habits. First, we have determinate tomatoes. These guys are compact, they're fantastic for containers, and they produce all their fruit at once. Then we have indeterminate tomatoes. These are those tall, vining plants that will just keep producing continuously right up until the first frost. Honestly, if you're new to tomato growing, grab one of each. It's the absolute best way to learn how they behave side by side.
Okay, time to get our hands dirty. Tomato seeds absolutely love warmth, so you want to aim for temperatures right around that 70 to 75 degree sweet spot. Also, skip the heavy garden soil. You've got to use a light, fluffy seed starting mix. Plant those seeds just about a 1/4 inch deep, mist them gently with some water, and cover them up with a humidity dome to lock in that perfect, cozy environment. Now here is a massive key tip for you. Tomato seedlings will desperately stretch toward the light, so you must keep them under grow lights or in a really bright, sunny window. If they don't get enough light, they'll grow tall, thin, and super weak. Gardeners call this leggy growth, and it makes them way too fragile, practically prone to snapping in the wind.
Moving right along to Section 2, Transplanting and Ideal Housing.
When your seedlings develop what are called 2 true leaves, it's time to do a little something called potting up. Now, unlike a lot of other plants that actually hate having their stems buried, tomatoes absolutely love to be planted deep. You literally want to bury that stem right up to the first set of leaves. This is a brilliant trick because it encourages the plant to shoot out extra roots all along that buried stem, which builds an incredibly strong, powerful root system. As you start preparing their final home, whether that's a container or a raised bed, remember this crucial number: 6 to 8. Your tomatoes need a minimum of 6 to 8 hours of full sun every single day. Look, without it, you're just going to get a bunch of pretty green leaves, but very few actual tomatoes.
Now, housing demands depend entirely on what variety you chose. Determinate varieties need a container that's at least 5 gallons, while those massive vining indeterminates need 10 gallons or more. Tomatoes are notoriously heavy feeders, so you need rich soil packed with compost, organic matter, and good drainage. Plus, make sure to add a slow-release organic fertilizer right at planting time. This gives them the strong start they desperately need.
Next up is Section 3, Pruning, Watering, and Feeding.
Pruning is probably one of the most misunderstood parts of tomato growing. Some of these plants can be total divas. Here's the deal. Determinate tomatoes require very minimal pruning. Just let them do their thing. Indeterminate tomatoes, however, require you to actively remove little shoots called suckers. This vastly improves airflow and cuts down on disease. And, no matter which type you're growing, use a simple trellis, stake, or cage to keep the plants upright. It prevents rot and makes your life so much easier when it's time to harvest.
When it comes to watering, tomatoes prefer deep, consistent drinks. The golden rule here? Always aim for the base of the plant, never, ever the leaves. Wet leaves are basically a fast track to disease. You'll also want to mulch heavily around the base to keep that soil moisture nice and stable, especially during those brutal hot summer months.
And don't forget, these plants are always hungry. Feed them on a strict schedule every 2 to 3 weeks with a high-quality organic tomato fertilizer. Pay special attention to the label. Look for one that contains calcium. Having enough calcium in the soil is your absolute best defense against the dreaded blossom end rot.
All right, moving on to Section 4, Troubleshooting Common Tomato Problems.
Of course, gardening is an adventure, and things don't always go perfectly. So let's tackle the top 3 tomato problems and exactly how to fix them. Notice a dark, sunken spot on the bottom of a fruit? That's blossom end rot, caused by inconsistent watering or low calcium. Got yellowing leaves? You're likely looking at a nutrient imbalance or overwatering. And those floppy, leggy seedlings we talked about earlier? They simply need more light.
If you take nothing else away from this explainer, remember this quote from our sources. Most tomato issues come down to just 3 things: water, nutrients, and airflow. Seriously, keep those 3 foundational elements in perfect balance, and your plants will absolutely thrive through almost anything nature throws their way.
And finally, we've reached section 5, harvesting your homegrown tomatoes.
We have reached the reward phase. Harvest your tomatoes when they're fully colored and just slightly soft to the touch. But please be patient. Don't rush it just because they look close. Tomatoes taste exponentially better when you let them ripen fully on the vine. That is the true secret to unlocking that deep, rich, homegrown flavor.
Think about what you've achieved here. You haven't just been doing random yard work. You've been meticulously engineering the ultimate culinary ingredient. Whether you're slicing them thick for fresh summer sandwiches, slow roasting them in the oven to concentrate their sweetness, or cooking down a massive batch of fresh homemade sauce, there's quite literally nothing like that homegrown taste.
Tomatoes are without a doubt one of the most rewarding plants you can possibly grow. Watching your own food transform from a tiny, seemingly lifeless seed into a towering, fruit-bearing plant is just one of the greatest joys of gardening. And as you've seen, with the right method, absolutely anyone can do it.
If you found this explainer helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and share your own tomato growing journey with our community. But before you go, I want to leave you with this. Once you taste a true, vine-ripened, homegrown tomato, will you ever be able to eat a store-bought one again? And more importantly, what are you going to cook with your very first harvest? Get planting, and I'll see you in the next explainer.